Hello, everybody. I
Hey
chose
everyone!
the worst time to take a bite of my food.
Welcome everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Yes. Um. So, how was your day yesterday?
Good. I had a really good one.
I
Did
got
a
stabbed in
stream,
the
learned some
back.
stuff
It
about
sucked.
streaming. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty outside.
Yeah, it's trying to be sunny here. Trying being my operative word. All right. So today we are continuing our trial prep to start on Monday. Um, Lori Daybell's first Arizona trial, which is the trial where she was charged with the unaliving, or I think it might have been conspiracy to unalive her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. Um, Once again, I want to stress that this is not about talking about Lori or Chad Daybell or Alex Cox. This is about remembering the victims, Tylee, JJ, Charles, and Tammy. They are the important ones in this story. And to also support Colby, because Colby lost his entire family in this tragedy. And yeah, so we will be watching another East Idaho News Courtroom Insider episode. On this one, Nate Eaton interviews Colby Ryan. And for those that don't know or haven't figured it out, Colby Ryan is the only surviving child of Lori Daybell. So, well, he's not a child anymore, obviously, but still. Um, so yeah, I say we get into it. What do you say?
Yeah, I say we get into it too. I'm just grabbing Colby's channel so I can share the link and both of our. So make sure to go give Colby a subscribe. Yeah, away we go. Roll tape.
Alrighty. And now I know why Danny says, okay, back to this so much. It's because Aiden says it so much.
Mm-hmm. That and so anyways. Good morning,
Good morning,
Nefarious.
Nefarious.
So happy you could come.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm Nate Eaton. Today is the 27th of March, 2025. This is Courtroom Insider. Really excited about tonight's program. Colby Ryan will be here in just a few minutes. We had a great conversation the other day that we recorded. I'll play it for you here. And it's the first time that I've actually had an in-depth one-on-one with Colby. He understandably has been weary of media over the past 5 years. Not only are you dealing with the tragedy of losing your entire family, but you've got reporters that you don't know from all over the country, all over the world, calling you, knocking on your door, asking you to talk. And so he's been kind of quiet. Obviously, he has his own YouTube channel that he launched that he, speaks about these issues and other things, but we'll get to Colby in just a few minutes. The trial is coming up. Lori Vallow's trial is just around the corner. In fact, Monday, I'll be in Arizona. I'm getting ready to leave in a few days here. I'm leaving Idaho tomorrow, and I'm going to take my time getting down to Arizona. I'm not going to drive straight, but I will. Really looking forward to being there. It's nice and warm from what I understand. And the weather's just getting nice here in Idaho Falls. Like I was in shorts and flip-flops yesterday. It was great. and I'll be wearing probably a lot more shorts and flip-flops in Arizona. But on Monday, that is when the jury selection will begin, where they will be the judge and the defense and the prosecution will be going through those questionnaires, and those people that have advanced, so you could say,
Hey, Scott.
will come in for individual voir dire, and that's where they'll be asked questions about, do you know anything about this case? Do you watch the media? Do you like true crime? Whatever it may be, with the goal of having a jury finalized by next Thursday, so a week from today, and then opening statements on the 7th. That's kind of the anticipated projection, but you never know with these things. And with Lori Vallow representing herself, you never know what could happen. Many of you have been so kind to reach out to talk to me about me being on the witness list. As you may have seen, I posted it on my X and my Facebook page. I filed a motion, I guess you could say, to the judge to have my name taken off her witness list. Have not heard back yet on that. And we're also looking at doing a few other things, because I was informed just a few days ago that if my name is still on her witness list when the trial starts, I cannot be in the courtroom because I am a listed witness. And that would be, I want to be there. I want to report on this story and continue to do so. So we are going to try to get my name off the list. As we all know, the alleged crime happened in July of 2019. I had never heard the name Charles Vallow, Lori Vallow, Tylee Ryan, JJ. I'd never heard any of these names, didn't know anything until December, almost 6 months later, well, 5 months later. So anyway, that's where that stands. I don't have more to say on that, other than hopefully the judge rules on our favor. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. Peggy's keeping an eye on them. I want to tell you, the very first time that I learned about Colby Ryan or heard about Colby Ryan was this video that he posted on his YouTube channel.
I can't tell you how hurt and frustrated and confused I am about what's going on. You have the power to end this. You have an opportunity to put this all to rest. I'm so hurt. I'm so hurt by all of this. Can't tell you how many people are hurt by this.
That was from late 2019, early 2020. It was right in there, end of the year, early 2020. And then I remember seeing Colby when he showed up to Arizona. I remember seeing him when he showed up to Idaho with Lori Vallow's first court hearing in Rexburg. And I'll always remember seeing him walk down the street, the sidewalk in front of the courthouse, and just getting swarmed with cameras. And
What was that?
Nefarious is asking who was the man on the TV a minute ago.
That's Colby. That was Colby.
Yeah. Colby Ryan, yeah. And this is Nate Eaton.
Yeah, Colby Ryan is Lori Daybell's only surviving child. So, Nefarious, you probably weren't here when we went over all this, but so we are watching an interview that Nate did right before he left to go to Arizona to cover Lori's first Arizona trial, which is the trial where she's charged with the unaliving of Charles Vallow, who was her fourth husband. And so this is kind of in preparation for starting trial on Monday. We're going to start watching it. And believe me when I say it was wild.
Brown Eyes, you're
Hey,
good.
Brown
Thank you for
Eyes.
coming.
It's okay. It happens.
Yep.
All right. In the words of both Danny and Aiden, back to this.
Roll tape.
Then I, would text him. We'd briefly chat. And then he actually came to a hearing in Idaho a few years later, and I had a chance to talk to him outside the courthouse. And here was that brief interview. What did you think being here today, a year to the day that Tylee and JJ were found?
It's hard. It's really hard. Seeing him, knowing he did it, and knowing everything about the truth and just this whole process is really hard. Obviously, we've all had to go through it, but he's going to say what he's going to say. He's going to lie about it. From the beginning, they've lied about it. So there's nothing you can do about it.
What are some of the memories that you were thinking about this morning when you woke up?
I was just thinking about all the good times we've had. That's all I can hold on to. I think that's all we can really remember. You don't want to have all of your memories be bad. You don't want all your memories to be about them being gone. And just thinking about all the times we just had normal days, waking up, especially in summer, stuff like that, swimming, enjoying each other. That's what I hold on to.
So that was before Lori's trial, Chad's trial. That was in Fremont County years ago. And today, for the first time, we're going to have an in-depth conversation, and you're going to hear it. Colby and I had been in communication for a couple of weeks to set this up. Nothing was off limits. And I hope that you enjoy our conversation. And you'll hear that we talk about how tomorrow I will be going on his channel. We recorded that already. It was a great conversation. He's a good interviewer, good conversationalist, and it's a little odd to have the tables turned to have me answer the questions I would much rather ask than answer the questions. So here is my interview with Colby Ryan. So joining me now, Colby Ryan from his home studio in Arizona. Colby, I was thinking the other day, I know we've met and we briefly talked outside of courthouses, but I don't think we've ever sat down for a formal interview.
Yeah, no, we haven't actually been able to talk like this one-on-one.
Right. So how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's just a slow process of every day taking it one day at a time. Kind of cliche, but yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Family's doing good. So we're blessed.
Let's back up to a couple of weeks ago when your mom was on Dateline. Were you surprised at all with that interview, with how it turned out, with the whole episode?
So the episode, to me, I didn't expect it to go backwards. And I understand why they did that. I guess for me, the format, I thought they were just going to sit down one-on-one with her and just chop it up. I can see probably why they didn't want to air her just talking nonstop. But it was interesting to see her interact with someone else that wasn't me, having someone interview her. And I think Keith did a really good job because it's really difficult to get her to answer a question. So overall, I think it was a good episode. I think I just had different expectations.
I think, though, the fact that you called your mom and aired that conversation or posted it for all of us to hear, that I think maybe set the expectation of what she's like in preparation for this interview. Right. So take me back to when you decided to call her a few months ago. And those of you watching, if you haven't seen the call, go to Colby's YouTube channel and watch it, because first of all, I don't know how you kept your composure. Had you planned and told your mom, I'm going to call you, I'm going to record it, I'm going to release it? How did that whole thing come about?
Right. So initially, my thought process was, I haven't talked to her in years, right? Since 2020. And I'm thinking to myself, and maybe this sounds dark, but it's like, if I never talk to her again, can I hold my head on that? Can I rest my hat on that? Whatever the saying is. And it just kept eating at me. I'm like, maybe I'll do one more. It's been a long time since we've had a conversation. But instead of me walking in as, here, I'm a son and you're my mom, I'm going to conduct it like an interview where I come in with questions and I'm just expecting answers. So I'll be respectful. And I'll come in that way. So that was the first initial thought process. Then after that, I messaged her and asked her if she was okay with being interviewed, and telling her everything. You're going to be we'll be on video back and forth, or our audio, or whatever the case was. So she knew this was her first interview she'd ever do publicly. So she knew Like I confirmed it over and over because I don't know what her state of mind really is. I was saying, you understand what I mean? Like I'm going to, if, even if I never release this, this is intended to possibly be released. And so that was the back and forth. And eventually we finally did it. And I think the interview style, the back and forth questions were more for my protection because I'm not going to come in there as a vulnerable son and let her do what we had in our first couple phone calls, where she just goes, you don't know anything. And, you know, that whole thing all over again. So that was really the reason why it was an interview. And then I really sat on it and prayed about it if I'd release it to the public, because it's a big deal to have that information come out and have her personally say everything she said about Tylee. So it was definitely a decision I sat with before I released it.
Had she told you that before, the insinuating that Tylee was somehow involved in JJ's death and then committed her own suicide?
No, that was the information I had heard a version of that she said that happened. And I said, I don't need anything other than direct contact with this woman. We're going to have a direct conversation and you tell me personally, one-on-one, what happened. And I wanted to go meet with her. I actually called her lawyer out of the blue at the time and asked, could I come see her and just say goodbye to her? Can I come and do this interview? And then the wrap up is I'm going to basically say goodbye to my mom for the rest of my life, possibly. And that didn't end up happening. So we had to work with the phone call. And obviously I didn't expect anything really of what she said, to be honest with you, and the way she said it.
Right. And of course there was technical difficulties because of the jail phone call system. So it's cut out, but you were obviously visibly upset by the end of the call.
Yeah.
Is that just because everything hit you, or what was your frame of mind at that moment?
Yeah. I mean, to hear her actually tell me that Tylee is the reason for basically everything, almost blaming Tylee for this.
So the interview that they were talking about, again, it's on Colby's channel, but it was so hard to listen to and so hard for her to sit there and hear her say with no emotion, essentially, that Tylee unalived JJ and then unalived herself. And then he asks her about, oh, well, if that's the case, why didn't you, call 911 first of all? And why did she end up the way she did? And Lori's response was, well, didn't you know that she wanted to be cremated? Like, for those that don't know, and Nate, briefly, when we watched the house tour, Nate briefly talked about how Tylee was found. He didn't go into a lot of detail about it, but she was found in pieces in the fire pit in Chad Daybell's backyard. And they don't even know if they have all the pieces of her. Now, Colby has, I believe, both kids, their remains. They were cremated. I think he has both of them. I'm not sure. I'm sure that Kay and Larry Woodcock, who were JJ's grandparents, also have, I'm sure they, however it is you do it with ashes or whatnot. But yeah, it is heartbreaking and infuriating hearing her say what she said. And maybe at some point we'll go over that interview. But I think I'm going to speed this one up a little bit, so that way maybe we can watch where Colby's interviewing Nate as well today. We'll see, because this one's only about 46 minutes, so I'm going to speed it up a bit and so we can get through it a little bit faster.
Yeah.
If my mouse would cooperate. I'm going to go 1.5 and then readjust if necessary.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
So if it's too
Whole
fast,
situation.
let us know in the chat.
Yes. All right, here we go.
And have her actually personally say that to me. Just changed everything between me and my mom. And I think after a while, I was like, I never want to talk to you anyway. But then after that, I think it just changed something in me forever, because I knew that wasn't true. There's not a slight bit of evidence that has ever happened, and that happened. But for her to think that I'm so, let me put it this way. She knew she was trying to pull at my heartstrings, and she knew she was manipulating me. And I think that when I saw someone go to that level and that depth of lying to protect themselves, it just broke me, because I know Tylee's not here to defend herself. So for her to be able to make up that story and then pitch it to everyone around her and then say it to the world, it really broke my heart for my sister, and also broke my heart even as a mother to a daughter, because I have my kids and I can't imagine hating my child so much that I would pin everything I did wrong on them after I did what I did,
Yeah.
So I think that was the emotion.
Has she tried to reach out to you since that call?
So I didn't directly contact her. So I have not, I don't know. I know she said in the interview that she wanted to talk to me directly, and that she wanted to tell me all those things directly. So I'm not sure where she stands with that. But no, we have not had any type of conversation after that, or any type of communication since that interview.
I remember you walking in to testify in her trial in Boise and her saying, "My baby."
Yeah.
And I also remember watching you on the stand. I think that they took a bit of a break while you were up there. There was not a lot happening at one point. I don't remember why, but you were not looking at her.
No.
But at one point, I think you did look at her and kind of had that, like, shook your head in disgust and then looked straight ahead.
Yeah.
What was that like to testify at your mom's murder trial?
It's something I can't really explain. I hadn't seen her in person in a long time. And it's almost like this character has been built up in your head this whole time, and then you finally see her. And I remember when I walked in there, I kept telling myself that I'm here for my siblings, but I'm against my mom, right? It's a really weird feeling. And when I remember when we had this long break for some reason, I don't remember what happened. And there was just a good 5 minutes where they're like, okay, you can stand up and stretch. And I just feel like I'm sitting here and I just feel her eyes just glaring at me. And I remember the time that I turned my head, she looked at me and just like mouthed that I love you. And I just wanted to curse her out. I'm sorry. Like, that's just my immediate reaction, because it's like, I don't believe you. You know what I mean? I don't even know who you are. And so that was a really, really hard thing to do, because yeah, I can't put into words what it's like to be trying to have justice for your siblings against your own mom. It's a really weird feeling.
And while you were on the stand, didn't you have to testify? Didn't they play the phone call you had with her in jail at that time?
Yeah, that was tough. I didn't know that they were going to do that. And to sit there and listen to me and her in a private conversation, not that I didn't know it's being recorded, but at the time it's just between me and her. And the more I listened to it, the more I realized what she was doing and how she was somehow always able to weasel out of any kind of acceptance of what she's done. And in that phone call, I realized what she'd been doing for years, but I was so blinded. Like, you make up a story in your mind of who your mom was. And I think I was holding on for so long until finally that image I created of her broke in those moments. And I think it got to me to where I am today. It's just realization,
Is that, would you say, kind of the turning point for you, that call that you had with her in the jail? Like, okay, mom is not mom, or had it come earlier than that?
So the first phone call, it couldn't have been too long after. It's the one we listened to. I remember, I think I held on hope for a while after that. This interview that I did with her in 2024, it changed everything. Like, I can't explain. There was life before that interview and life after. And it's because I didn't come in there press her. I didn't come in there telling her what I know for facts. I know I spit back at her a little bit, but I gave her an open platform. Said, you tell me what happened. I'm all ears. I'm not going to sit here and judge you, and I'm not going to do any of that. And so after our conversation, I had to wrestle. It was so weird. Like, I wish I could put it into context, but the inner kid in me was just crying out for my mom. Like, I wanted somehow to believe she wasn't bad. And not that I ever wanted her story to be true, but it's like just wishing she wasn't the way she was. So like, I mourned her again after that interview. And I think that was part of something I never expected, is like, wow, she's gone and she's alive, but she's not. And it's like, it's a mind game. And so after that interview, it changed everything. And I think that that's why I also planned before it to say goodbye to her at the end. It didn't really work out that way because of that phone call, the way it is, and the drops and the noises and people screaming in the background, and it literally cutting out all those different factors. I just had to work with what I had. And so I gave her somewhat of a version of, hey, I honor you as a parent. Thank you for raising me and what you did for me personally as I grew up. But we can't ever be mother and son again. That relationship is gone forever. And I don't care if we're blood or not, it's over forever.
I think that's very wise of you to come to that realization, to kind of shut the door. This isn't the mom I knew. That's a separate person. And also to let her talk when you call her, because, a lot of people might say you just want to yell at her or demand answers. But obviously for a personality like her, from what we've seen, she might hang up the phone. She's going to shut down. She's not going to say much. So the fact that you went in just saying, let her talk, just try to hear it out, I think was quite smart.
Yeah, and I think you, like you just said, you have a big taste of it with Keith. Anybody who sits in front of her, you say one thing and it's, well, you think I'm the worst person that ever lived, and just this tangent. And you're like, well, I never said that, right? Like that's so left field. I grew up with a version of that, but this is next level, like beyond anything I ever experienced fully. So yeah, I tried to give her almost an unbiased position to say, just tell me what happened. And I heard other people saying, well, maybe you called to kind of like get answers. And it's like, I think more than anything, I just wanted her to, on her own decision, to tell me what happened. And at this point, if she would have at least told me what happened and told me the truth, at least I could say, okay, I've heard the truth and it's over. But for her to lie the way that she did and then circle around and it's me and her versus the world, and I'm the reason she's alive, and put all that kind of stuff on me still, and say it was harder to lose me than it was the kids. Those type of things just echo in your ears forever. Right. So you have to close the door on that.
So can we go back to 2019? I remember when this story first hit the news, and you posted a few pleas on YouTube, asking for help to find your siblings. And it sounds like you didn't really know what was going on. When did you first know JJ and Tylee aren't safe and mom's gone?
Yeah. So when the police came to my door and asked where Tylee and JJ were, and then I called her not even 5 minutes after that. And
you called Tylee?
No, I called my mom.
You called Lori. Okay.
Yeah, I called her and I said, so please come to the door and go, is Tylee or JJ here with you? And I literally went, are you talking about my sister? Like I'm freaking out. I'm like, what are you talking? Where do you mean? Where am I? Where's Tylee? And so there's this whole back and forth of that fear. And I call her right after and I'm like, 2 police just came to my door looking for Tylee. What's going on? And mind you, I had already texted Tylee and said, I'm really concerned you won't pick up my phone calls. And there's just this feeling, but in my mind, there's absolutely no way that Tylee and JJ are not alive. That's not a question to me. Like my mom's never, ever been someone you would think of as a dangerous human being. So I call her the next day. I think it's Thanksgiving, literally the next day. I call her back, phone's dead, gone. And I go, what planet am I on right now? What is going on? And mind you, all this is the end of 2019. 2019 was the hardest years ever, and going into 2020. So it was already really hard up to that point. And yeah, she was gone. And then she goes missing. Guess the next time I saw her was with you. The first time I saw her and heard all these rumors, I saw one video of her in the airport. And then the next thing I saw was you going up to her and asking her those questions in Hawaii. And I remember that's when I saw the car, I was sitting with Kelsey and I said, they didn't find anything of Tylee and JJ's. I'm getting goosebumps saying it. Because I'm like, there's just like, okay, so where in the world are they? And that's when it really, really fully like hit me, because I know her and I know her pattern. So for her to be in Hawaii at Kauai Beach Resort with this dude and the kids are nowhere, my first thought is they must have put them somewhere else. Maybe they married Tylee off. Like I'm literally running through scenarios. There's no way though that they're not okay. And I'm thinking to myself, they're somewhere on the planet and I have no idea where. And I just had to sit there with all of that information and nothing I could do about it.
Before that, was your mom always easy to reach? I mean, did she always take your calls?
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked pretty frequently. I think our relationship started to stagger after I got married. And I think more than anything is because she was having issues with the fact that I wasn't her baby anymore and that I had a wife and she didn't like that. So she's butting heads a little bit with Kelsey. And past that point, I mean, after everything that happened with Charles, my whole foot steps out of almost everywhere. Like, I don't know what to do with myself because something's not right about this. And so it was a really, really hard position to be in because it's heartbreaking and I have no idea what's going on and everything's changing so fast. And she would always answer the phone. And then now her phone's dead and there's no way to know what she's doing, where she's at, or where my siblings are at.
How did you learn that Charles had been shot by Alex?
So I'm at work. It's like the middle of my day.
Trigger warning to everybody as far as this part. I should have started with the trigger warning for all of this, really, but because it is a heavy topic. Now, the interesting thing is when her Arizona trial started, when did Karen Reed start last year? Was that April 1st? Was it the beginning of April or?
Yes, it was beginning. I thought it was April 8th.
Well, either way, I was watching two trials at the same time because I was watching her Arizona trials and Karen Reed.
That was a lot of trial watching.
Yeah. But yeah, so just a forewarning to everybody. Just listening to Colby talk about this stuff is hard, but yeah, it's funny when I talk to him I talked to him one time. He did call-ins on his show, and we talked about Hawaii, and the one thing I mentioned to him when about Hawaii was why'd they have to go to Hawaii? I'm like, you remember like back in the day there was that guy that was like, leave Brittany alone. My thought process was, leave Hawaii alone.
Right.
Because I mean there have been some horrendous unalivings in Hawaii. It's not like Hawaii is like, free of crime. It's not. It's nowhere near free of crime. It's just you don't hear about it because, like,
Right.
9 times out of 10, the only thing you hear out of Hawaii is about the volcano, or if there's a tsunami
Right.
alert or a bad hurricane. It's it's all the natural disasters. Like, it's not about cases until this last case that Court TV actually, Gerhard Koenig or whatever his name is. Like, I was shocked when they were covering a Hawaii case. I was absolutely shocked.
Yeah, that was surprising to me too.
But yeah, so just so just be forewarned, because it's about to get pretty heavy.
And I think I called her that morning. She never answered. And she calls me and says, hey, bub. And I'm like, thinking it's a normal conversation. And she just kind of lightly says, well, I just want you to know that Charles came to the house this morning to pick up JJ, because at this point, he's not living with them. They just moved back to Arizona and he's in Houston. And my mom had just basically brought JJ back. And that's a whole other story. But she goes, yeah, we're in the kitchen and he had a heart attack and he passed away. And just simple as that. No feelings, no anything. And I remember that moment. I remember like everything in my body just dropped to the floor. And I couldn't function anymore during the day, right? Like, I'm at work, I can't even think straight. And so towards the end of the day, I'm like, hey, I'm going to come by. And I'd never been to their house. That is how fast this all was. Like, they had just moved back. I'd never been to this house. And yeah, I just said, I have to come by and see you guys. I have to check up on you and talk to you. Like, what is going on? And yeah, that happened like maybe 4 or 5 hours later. I left work and went straight to their house.
And what was your mom's demeanor like at the house?
I'm in the backyard and she's just sitting there and she finally says, well, and this is rough because this is definitely, I don't remember everything that she said, but she was like, basically Alex and Charles got in a fight and Kylie brought a bat out and they got into it, and Alex had to shoot him or shot him in self-defense. She said self-defense. I remember that. And I'm cursing at her and I'm saying, what are you talking? Like, the shock of someone passing away versus being killed are not even the same realm. So now I'm hearing, oh, well, Alex actually killed Charles. And so I'm sitting there and I just want to leave, but I'm also scared. And she seems so calm. And there's almost no reaction from her, and there's no reaction from Alex. And Kylie's just sitting there like out of it, but also like trying to be brave. That's kind of who she was. She always had to try to go for the joke when she's about to cry kind of person. Right. And I just remember feeling like I was the only one in the house that was like shocked and didn't know what to do with myself.
Was Alex there too?
Yeah, he was there.
And acting normal, just like a normal day?
He was watching a movie with his bandage around his head, and he was the first one that said anything to me. So I pointed at his head. I pointed at my head and went, what's this? Like, because he had a white bandage wrapped around. And he goes, something like, Charles hit me in the head with a bat and I shot him in self-defense. And I went, like, that's how I received the information first. So I go outside and my mom had a conversation. She basically gives me a little bit of a different version or like more detail of it. And neither one of them were rattled at all. And so, yeah.
How would you describe your relationship with Charles? Were you guys close?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. And the reason I haven't really spoken too much on it is because Charles and I were as close as we possibly could be, if that makes any sense. I was in and out of the house a lot. I always will look at Charles as my father. And, he took really good care of me. And we started to get a lot closer in the last probably year, which is what was really wild. We started to get really a lot closer in 2018. That was like when our relationship was probably like, okay, I'm a man now. He's starting to ask me to come meet him and talk with him about man stuff, about what I'm going to do with my life. And I'm actually coming to him for advice. So I think that's when it was different, because kind of growing up, I think that the dynamic in the house was I keep to myself a lot, and I'm moving and changing my mind all the time, trying to figure out what I want to do in my life. And I'm very separated from the house. But then that was when me and Charles started to get closest, around 2018. And yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where I'm still processing like what it was like in that time. You know what I mean? It's all still new to me because it's so much to go back and have to process everything. But
right. Yeah. And that process that and everything with your siblings and your mom.
Right.
During this time at all, did your mom try to talk religion to you, her beliefs at all?
Yeah. So her main pitch ever was, we were on our way to, I had a Reno football tryout, like a camp, and it was a 3-day camp, and it was in like Reno. So she said, I'll come down and take you to it. And this is, mind you, the beginning of 2019. So she flew back. And at this point, she had just said that she was in Hawaii because she disappeared. So Charles takes JJ, and she is MIA with Tylee. And then finally Tylee comes back and like, oh yeah, we were in Hawaii. So, and mind you, the reason why I'm just kind of hands off is because I have my family just had a baby a couple weeks before that in February. They're going through drama, and I just didn't want to get involved, honestly. So she comes back and she's like, okay, I'll take you. So, you know, it's a good, I think 11 hours from here, from like Chandler to Reno. And while we're on our way, she brought up multiple lives. And I remember telling her, I said, that's reincarnation. That doesn't happen. Like, it was an immediate shutdown. And I think her thing was, with each person, she felt people out and tried to see what they would accept or listen to and where she could go with it. And I just told her I don't believe in that immediately. And I said, I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe you've been here multiple times. And she said a couple other little things. She was on the phone a lot. And I remember hearing the name Zulema. I had no idea who that is, right? Like, I'm not paying attention to everything she's doing. And she did her podcast on the way there. Those are the 3 things. And I have my headphones in. I'm sitting there on my phone. I'm texting, like, you know what I mean? But that trip also scared me a lot, because I woke up from falling asleep in the passenger seat, and it's kind of not, okay, this isn't funny, but it's really odd. So it's funny to me. I woke up, and that scared me in the moment. And she's literally looking up at the sky, and she's like waving her hands over and over, looking up at the sky. And I remember I'm just like cracking my eyes, looking over, like, where are we? And I'm thinking to myself, what is she doing? Right. So that was before she brought up the conversation about the reincarnation thing. And then after that, yeah, I mean, we got there. I went to my camp for the next 3 days, and then we drove back. And outside of that, I don't remember much else that she said about religious stuff, but she was on the phone and she did her podcast. Those were like the 2 things that I remember.
Never mentioned Chad Daybell.
No. I feel like I would, and I say this with all honesty, I feel like I would have remembered if I'd ever heard his name. I would have said, oh yeah, she mentioned that in 2018, something like that. I had no idea this man existed
until you saw the Hawaii video.
Yeah. Or it was when that release came out.
Oh,
so
right.
It was,
right.
Yeah. That in December, we went to go see the new Star Wars movie. And right before, I get a call that Alex is dead. And I'm thinking to myself, while I'm at the movie, holy crap. Like, what is going on? Like, he just killed my dad. Now he's dead. And so we go to the movie. I'm sitting there all like, we never stay up late at this point. We just had Riley. We get back, and then Kelsey comes out of the room. It's like 12:30, and I'm on the couch, and she's like, her phone, she's like holding her phone, shaking. And it's the report. And it says, your mom's married, and they abandoned their house in Rexburg, Idaho. And there's no sign of the kids. And it was like, that's when it all started right there that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I imagine, yeah, your wife was probably freaked out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going, she's married. Like, I can't even tell you the shock of all of that in that one day, just alone. And then, you know, it's like, so they can't find the kids, and she's married, and they ran away, and they were in Idaho. Like, all of this information, all just a dump right there.
Yeah. So then did you try to reach out to your mom?
I did. I emailed her, and I got an email back. I don't know when it was maybe a week or something later. And it said, we're all fine, and everything's going to be okay. And I'm going to take care of it. And Jesus has got us. And I'm assuming she means her and the kids. Right. And mind you, I'm not thinking something is wrong with the kids, because that's just not possible in my brain. It's just not, it just doesn't seem plausible. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is her to deal with. Those are my siblings, but those are her kids, and she needs to do what she needs to do. She needs to take care of this, and she needs to bring it back. When she went silent, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No, when she went silent, that's when it was scary. Did
you think all along that your siblings were still alive, or was there a day or a moment where you thought, okay, this isn't looking good?
Yeah, it was a wrestle all the time. I remember that Christmas, I woke up and I just asked Kelsey out of the blue. I just said, what if they're gone? And I had a dream, and it's really hard to, it's just a hard dream to tell you. But I just had this really weird dream, and I just remember the flash of it, and it was this big, kind of like if you looked at soil behind glass, like layers. And I had a dream that specifically Tylee was in this soil, in this big field. And this was like, scared me to death, because I'm like, there's no way. Like, I'm telling myself that dream means nothing. You're crazy. Like, I'm not letting that be even a thought process in my head. There's no way Tylee's there. And that was, I think a couple months later, they were looking in his backyard. I remember praying and telling myself, please, Tylee, don't be back there, because of that dream. So like, it was very close to the back of my brain, because I had to push it back. I had to keep hope. And I kept telling myself, rationalizing all day, every day, there's no way she would hurt them. So where are they? And I went through every scenario I could possibly think of, every family member that they could possibly be with, and wondering what's going on. So until the day that they called me and told me they found them, I think I always had some kind of hope.
Is that how you learned that on June 9th, 2020, that they'd been found? You got a call from the police?
Yeah. So
Can you imagine, like, I can't imagine what he's been through. Like,
Yeah. It's crazy.
and then to
I didn't
have
know
a
about
dream
it.
like that, and then, I mean, in the house video, or in the house tour that we watched, like, to see where she was, to see
Yeah.
where JJ was,
Right.
like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, like, just thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, deep breath. You hear? Wait.
We'll take.
No, hang on. We need a. Or at least I do. Hang on. We'll go with that with the next break.
I was on my way to go get my license renewed, and I was by myself. And I remember I got a call from the FBI, and they go, "Hey, Colby, Chad's been arrested, and they found human remains on his property." And man, it was just like, and I remember like same thing, rationalizing, like, okay, maybe it's like, and I asked her, I said, is it like little kids' bones? Like, can you tell me anything? Is it like somehow, some way it's not them, right? There's no way. And that's just how my brain was. It was just deflecting that possibility that that's true. And she said, we're still looking into it. We're going to have to figure it out. And then, yeah, I mean, we hung up and I called Kelsey, and then later that day they called and said they confirmed it. Yeah, that's when I found out that day.
And at that point, you realize your mom, that's when they filed the serious charges of murder against her.
Yeah.
And how was it to process that my mom is charged with killing my siblings and her new husband too? I mean, are you still processing it? Have you come to terms like, okay, I get it now? Or
yeah, I think you have to split it into categories in a sense. I fully accept that in what I believe, Alex, Lori, and Chad killed my entire family except for Lori. And
you.
Yeah, and me. And I think that I just finally fully accepted the reality. Like, yeah, this happened. And there's no way I can ever go around it. There's nothing I can do to pretend like it isn't. I can't deflect the information. I can't pretend like they're not here or somehow have wishful thinking they're still in a bunker somewhere, right? Like, I had to accept the reality of it. But to know that my mom was involved like that and could have put her hands on them and did it. And I think the one thing that I think floored me and really changed my life was that picture of JJ and his jammies. Because that's like, okay, so you planned everything. It's not like you just said, hey, Alex, Chad, go get them. Like, you really planned all this out. And then I just accepted that that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to do it. And you can give a million reasons, religion, money, whatever you want to say, but they ultimately made the decision to do it. And so I just accept it for what it is.
So in the midst of, all this happening, you've also got media that want to talk to you.
Yeah.
What did you learn from, dealing with the media, handling the media, talking too much, not talking enough? Like, what counsel or advice would you give to people that might find themselves in a high profile case?
Yeah. I mean, mind you, I'm 23 years old, and I have no idea what's going on, right? When I posted that video for my mom, I'm not thinking about 100,000 people watching that video. I posted it for one person. I hope it gets one view, and it's her. And so after experiencing people online, and now I'm interviewing, and I'm like, okay. And every time you talk to some of these shows, and it's not everybody, but a lot of these people are like, hey, we're going to get you on. We're going to talk about your family, and we're going to get you here to advocate for your siblings, and we're going to try to make the search wider. And that's why we want you to come. And they're like, oh yeah, exactly. That's what I want. Let's do that. And you get there and they go, who was your biological father? Well, let's talk about your whole entire family. Let's talk about someone who passed away before you were born, or something of that nature. And I'm like, you got me. I don't know what you want from me. Like, I'm not here for those reasons. But I was very just non-confrontational to the point where I'd answer any question. And I just felt like I didn't know what to do because you're just put on the spot. And it was really, really hard. And then, I thought that, okay, I'm going to take back the narrative the best I can for my family's sake. And we'll do the documentary. And that will be really justice to know the reality of what it was like in my family and this and that. And then when that went sideways, I was like, okay, this is a dirty place. Like, this media stuff is crazy. And it's it's just a war zone in a sense. And if you're not an understanding of that, you get put in a really bad position. So I think the number one thing is you have to put your head on as straight as possible, and you have to process what you're feeling and going through. And I think we're in a stage now in life where you can have your own voice in your own way. And I think that's important, because if you have something to say, you either find someone you really trust to help you say that thing, or you can do it on your own terms. And so that would be my biggest advice is either get a good relationship with someone before you put yourself out there in that way. And then on top of it, you have your own voice. So if you have a platform, use your platform.
Yeah, I think that you were smart. Even back in 2020 into 2019, when you released that YouTube video, you were able to say it in your own words, hope that your mom saw it, and then say it, not get edited, not get cut up or whatever.
Right.
Do you plan to go to the trial in Arizona?
Yeah, I thought about it a lot. I think maybe for sentencing, possibly. It's really complex, right? Because yeah, I want to stand there for my dad's sake, but at the same time, I have to stand in the room with my mom, and I have to see her, and I have to listen to her talk. And I'll be honest with you, even though I talk about her on my channel, I don't want to listen to her talk and just ramble on and say the things that she says. So I think there's been a lot of thought process of when I'll go, and maybe that's the last time I ever see her. So that's kind of all the thoughts that I have going into it. I've said to myself probably one time, probably once.
You'll go one day.
Probably one day, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on when that is.
But you don't think you're going to be a witness or anything?
I haven't heard anything. Some people are like, what's going on? I'm like, I have no idea. I've never been so out of the loop. And that's fine with me, because if they need me, they know that I'll be there for them. Not my mom, not Lori. They know that I will be there if they need me. But again, is it nice to also not have to go and do that all over again? Yeah, there's a relief to that. But they know if they need me. Like I said to everybody in Rexburg before, I'm here. I'll do that. But it's not like I want to.
Right. What do you remember most about JJ and Tylee?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, the thing I miss about them the most is just what they bring, their personalities, and just interacting with them, being able to even walk in the room and hear Tylee talk about her day, and being able to, like, I always think to myself, I would do anything for them to just be able to sit in this room and get to see their nieces and nephew and just be here and just have a life and do Christmas and watch Tylee grow up and get married. And what I miss about Tylee is her heart. And me and Tylee, again, I don't know how God orchestrated all of that, but we just had started to get a lot closer in like the end of 2017 going into 2018. And it was just crazy because like our age gap was so vast of like where we are in life. And then all of a sudden we're starting to talk about life, and she's getting her, getting close to getting her driver's license, and we're doing like a therapy kind of thing where I'm talking to her about her life and she's opening up. And so like we're getting closer, and then that's just gone. And JJ was like, I don't want to ever use him like, oh, he was like my son, but he was like he was like my little brother. I think he was my little brother, but it was like, I never had a little brother like that as an adult, like a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. And so my love for him was very like protective. And, I always saw myself playing sports with him and teaching him all these different things like a big brother and having him be a part of everything that we did. And so I just have to live with the reality that that's not going to happen here,
Right. So you tell your kids about them.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What do you want the world to know about maybe anything that's been misrepresented, or any rumor, or anything that's, out there that you just really bugs you, or is there something that you want to clear up? Is there anything?
There's a lot. I mean, I could sit here and do the list. I think my only thing and my biggest message as of late was, and obviously I could pick apart a billion things, Nate, like seriously, I have so many things, but the number one thing I've really tried to change in this whole experience, in this case and everything, is really understanding from a human perspective what it's like to go through this for people who are left, and then trying to actually remember the people who are gone, not just as the sidestep of like, okay, that's crazy, but Lori's my main focus. I think I've tried to re-put the focus on, hey, Tylee was incredible, JJ was incredible, Charles was incredible, and I'm sure Tammy was incredible. These are people who are gone now, who kind of almost, to me, a lot of times get overlooked for the sensationalism of Lori and Chad. So I think that's been the biggest thing, is just trying to create something that actually represents them and puts them in a place of legacy, rather than them just being the footnote of always having to be intertwined with Lori.
Right. Have you gone to like a therapist, Colby?
Yeah,
Oh.
I have a really good therapist. She's completely God sent. Like, she helps me so much. And that's how, I think that's the main reason I started doing the channel the way that I have is, I'm sure there's a lot of opinions. And I said, look, this is my reality of my life and I'm unpacking. And I really hope someone who has experienced maybe the smallest thing of what I've experienced can hear and relate and realize that they're not alone. And then we realize that even though you can be traumatized and have a really hard life, you can keep building towards something better. And so she's really the main reason why I've been able to come out of that place, because it was just this huge suitcase of stuff that was just ready to burst. And I felt like I couldn't do anything about it. And she like made it safe and made it easy to start saying, okay, let's do this one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. And it's just like made it possible. It's made it possible to actually accept the situation now and start moving forward and not let it ruin my life every time my mom's name is brought up, or Tylee and JJ. Like, if you would ask me that question even maybe a year ago, I couldn't have even talked to you about it because I would have started crying. So those are my results, I guess, if you want to call it that.
So shenanigans, I don't know if you saw Lori's first trial, but there's a phone call between Lori's sister, Summer, and Lori, that was played during her first trial, and it was hard. Like, the interview with Colby that Colby did with his mom was hard. But listening to the phone call with Summer and Lori, one of the main things that Summer said was, why couldn't you have given them to us? Why did it have to be this way? Now, keep in mind, this is after the kids. Lori was already in prison. Chad was still out. They had not found the kids yet. I don't think. I remember, if my memory serves me correctly, they had not found the kids yet. And she was, and always has been, even with what Colby was saying about how, what she said about Tylee and what Tylee's involvement was in this whole thing, as far as how she and JJ were unalived. Lori's always been like, oh no, I didn't do anything. Or they were zombies, so their physical body was already gone. Or no, their spirits were already gone. Like, yeah, it's horrendous. It's so hard to listen to. And Summer is one of those, like, controversial characters in this whole thing. I don't remember why exactly, but like, oh, I know why. It's because Summer and Lori's mom initially was like, she couldn't hurt those babies. She loves those kids. For the longest time, until they found Tylee and JJ, she did not, or they were pro Lori, essentially. So that was controversial. But, it is.
Yeah.
Huh?
Can understand why that would be a controversial take.
Right. But they didn't know any more than the rest of us did at that point either. So, I mean, I can understand why people look at it like, why would you say that? And hindsight is always 20/20, but I'm sure they had the same mindset that Colby had, that they had hidden them somewhere and that they were fine. They were still alive. They were still on this mortal coil, for lack of a better way of putting it. But
they were still okay.
Yeah, they were still okay. And so, because
a lot of
people were like, oh, Lori was such a good mom. And, hindsight for Colby is, again, 20/20, because he looks back on it now and is like, no, she really wasn't. But yeah, it's a complicated case. Like every case is complicated. Every case has its own complications. Hey, Greg.
Good morning, afternoon, evening.
All right. I'm gonna step out for a smoke, so I'm gonna start playing this again. I will be back.
All right, I'll be right back.
Things are getting better, and it's been really great to have a therapist.
I can tell you, watching Dateline, I'm talking with Keith and Shane, the producer. I could, you feel like you're in a much better place, just seeing you, and more competent and just more introspective, I guess. It's just really admirable how far you've come, from the past 5 years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's just one of those situations you could never prepare yourself for. And the fact that it's a reality, you just have to take the lessons that you possibly can and do everything you can to apply what you've learned to help other people. That's how I look at it. And that's really the main goal now, is how do we move forward after something like this goes off? What do you do? And I think I'm just kind of showing people where I'm at with it, hoping that they can also realize there's nothing special about me. I just had a lot of help, and I'm figuring out that there's still a life now to live, because I didn't feel that way for a really long time.
You mentioned a couple times, and we can see it on your hat, the Star Wars podcast. It's on YouTube. How'd you come up with the name? I mean, you did mention that you were at Star Wars earlier. I'm assuming you're a fan.
Oh, I'm a big fan. It was funny. I was really playing around with this idea of kintsugi, which is basically when you put something back together. And it's basically with those gold lines. And I just got so fascinated with the idea because it felt like that for me. My life felt like I shattered like glass, but I can't just do nothing. I have to get back together. So it's piece by piece. And one day you're walking around and you have all of these scars from your life, but they're like stories and they don't make you who you are. They're just a part of you. And then I felt like I'm battling. So how do I mix the scar idea with fighting it like a war strategically? It can't all be done in one day. You can't win a war in one day. And it's just like one of those things where it just kind of all kind of came together. Plus, obviously, loving Star Wars and just that name alone was cool. But yeah, it's just really those two concepts pushed together to kind of come up with that. And then the reason I do a podcast is to kind of have more real conversations rather than maybe the way things are perceived or presented in other ways. You can hear from someone's mouth what they think and feel. And then you get to make a decision rather it being edited down to a certain type of way because of narrative driving. So that was the other reason.
So you can find the Star Wars podcast, as I mentioned, on YouTube. And I understand you have a very special guest coming up, Colby.
A very special guest.
Very special. Yes.
No, top tier.
Bottom of the barrel here.
No, top tier.
For those watching, it's going to be me. And we're gonna end our conversation now here on East Idaho News. But jump over to Colby's channel. Colby, do you know when you're going to be posting our conversation?
Yeah, so we're going to post it. Let me look at the actual date, but it's going to be next Friday.
Okay.
So whatever next Friday's date is, what is it? The 27th. So the 27th.
Okay. Oh, that's next Thursday. So you're watching, if you're watching this on East Idaho News on the March 27th or after the fact, my conversation with Colby, him interviewing me, the tables are turning here.
Right.
Watch it on Colby's channel on the 28th of March.
The 28th.
Okay. And what time can people go over and watch it?
We're going to pop that on at 7:30 Mountain Standard.
All right.
And I'll post about it on the channel so that way people know. Because like you said, we got a big guest coming on. I gotta post it. I gotta let people know.
I've never been so nervous. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable asking the questions, but you have the tables turned. But I appreciate you talking with me, Colby, and I look forward to talking with you. Is there anything you want to add here before we sign off on this one?
No, honestly, I appreciate you, first of all, coming onto the show. And then secondly, I'm glad we did a sit down because I know it's been a long time and it's something that I thought about doing before, but I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Head over to Colby's channel, the 20th of March, the Star Wars podcast, and we'll see you there.
All right.
And there you go. Colby Ryan. And you can catch our conversation continuing tomorrow on his channel, as I mentioned. My thanks to Colby for chatting with me and sharing his thoughts and opening up about the experiences that have shaped him over the past few years. Okay, here's the timetable going forward. We have our outlook for the trial. You can see here some of the dates. We have the jury selection, which will be next week. We have the opening statement scheduled for April 7th, and the trial could go until May. And then we have the other trial for Brandon Boudreaux, the shooting on his life, the attempted murder on his life, that will happen in early June. A week from now, as I mentioned, we could have a jury. It'll be 12 people, 4 alternates. They will be in the courtroom every Monday to Thursday. If you miss kind of the timeline of scheduling how the trial is going to work, don't worry. I think, depending on my travel over the next few days, I imagine we'll be live here on Sunday night, just to kind of give you a preview as to what we can expect with this trial. So plan on joining me if you can Sunday night. We're going to do 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Arizona time. That will give me enough time. Court's going to end around 4:30 every day Arizona time, which is 5:30 Mountain. So that'll give me enough time to get stuff put together. But join me if you have questions, and then we'll be here every night going forward, at least every Monday to Thursday. There's going to be no court on Friday, so might take the night off. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You never know. You never know with this trial. Here's where you can find me. Thanks to all of you who are new and following me on Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We really appreciate that.
Okay, so that is his interview with Colby. And I'm going to switch, or actually, I think I'm going to.
I feel so much for Colby and his family.
Right.
After watching that, especially after watching that, and Colby, because, he had that dream.
Right.
It'd be so, he was torn up.
Okay, so I have a cuteness break for us, just to break up the monotony of it all. This is from a couple days ago, and normally I do show the babies on screen, but they are sleeping right now, so this is the next best thing.
Girl, you know your name, huh? Callie, where you going, Callie? Hi, Gizmo. Hi, Gizmo. Hi, baby. Oh, look at you marching over there, turtle. Hi. Hi, cutie. Be cool.
So yeah. Okay, so any questions, comments, concerns before we go on to Colby's interview with Nate?
I just can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Just can't.
Yeah, it's a rough, like, and that's what kind of makes me hesitant about watching the Idaho, thank you, trials. And actually going back to that, let's do the grifting portion, or maybe one of the first one. I actually created a wish list for them on Amazon, because eventually we will be rehoming them, but we don't want to give them up before we have to. And we are, money's tight. They were, dropped in our lap, kind of. So, yeah, so there's still some stuff on there. If you don't, it's not an obligation. You don't have to, but feel free to browse if you would like. Also, I have a Cash App. I almost said hashtag. $sign NGM 1984 YT. Venmo at NGM 1984. Buy me a coffee, NGM 1984. So yeah, now it's your turn.
I just have a Cash App. It's $ tcwmaelynn. Follow me on X, tcwmaelynn. Email me or send me a DM on X. Email me at tcwmaelynn@gmail.com. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about us.
Yes, of course. Okay, so now here is the...
Such a good grifter.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry.
You're good.
The part 2 of the interviews, shall we say. This is Colby interviewing Nate. And his background actually looks a lot different now. This was a year ago. He's actually upgraded his background quite a bit since then.
And I fully understand that. It's good to see you guys. I appreciate you. Welcome to our first live Star Wars podcast episode. Tonight, what I'm going to be doing is just introducing a little bit of things that I'm thinking right now. We're going to let my conversation with Nate play for you guys. I will not be reacting. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm just going to play it for the screen, and we'll talk after. Just wanted to say thank you again to Nate. We had a really great conversation, and he's awesome. So that was a really good opportunity for us to sit down. I'm going to let you know right now that this is definitely a sensitive podcast. We do get into some serious subjects, and these are things that I just had questions about as far as someone else who's followed this from the beginning to end in the media. Nate was awesome. He answered the questions, and we got into a really big, deep, I would say pretty deep conversation. Why did the first video get deleted? It's actually because I wanted to go live with you, watch it, and then talk about it after. So we'll have a little discussion after the podcast, see what you guys thoughts were. I was just going to initially give you guys the video and you could watch it, but I just wanted to start out this way and say what's up and watch it with you live. I will not be on screen. You guys will not see me. I'm just going to play the episode for you. So real quick, right before we get down to business, appreciate you guys. Thank you for the love and support. And again, I appreciate Nate for doing it. Our interview on his channel also was, I think, a good icebreaker for me, because we got to go back and forth, and I realized how genuine he really is. And so, it was a great connection. And then we flipped around and we went straight to the podcast, and it was a good time. And there's a couple questions in here you guys are going to love, because there's something we've been talking about on the channel for a while. So without further ado, thank you guys for being here. I will be in the chat and watching with you. So thank you for being here. Love you. And I'll catch you guys in a little bit. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, our special top tier guest is here with us today. We had a really great conversation over on Nate's channel, and honestly, thank you, Nate, for doing this. I do appreciate it, seriously.
Oh, so happy to be here. Nice to catch up with you, Colby.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've known each other, if you want to use the word known each other, for a long time, basically, but we've never sat down until just now. Really what I wanted to ask you, and kind of the thoughts that have gone through my head, is I kind of looked up a little bit of your resume. It just kind of popped up when I was searching for you, right? And I guess my number one question that I've always wondered was, what was your reaction and thought process when this first came across, let's call it your desk, when you first heard of this case and what's going on there? I really want to know.
Yeah, I remember. It was a Friday, I think the Friday before Christmas. And I was out on a story, and my colleague, his name's also Nate, called and said, we just got a release from Rexburg Police about 2 missing kids, but this is different. Like, this is an in-depth news release about 2 kids that no one really knows in Rexburg. Because normally, when kids disappear, you find neighbors or friends or, school classmates, people know them, and no one knew who Tylee and JJ were. And so we posted the story with their photos, and it blew up on our Facebook page. And that night, I had an event in Rexburg that I was going to, and so I called a couple of police sources. And on the way, they were pretty tight-lipped, which I thought that I might get something out of them. And one of them said, "Hit you the craziest story you've ever covered times 100." And I'm like, "Wow." Yeah, and he goes, "I have a feeling that there's some young reporter that really dug into this. They could end up on Dateline or something," which turned out to be the case, but wasn't the plan in the beginning. And so I went to this event, and after we had an intern at the time, Eric, who was working with us, he messaged me all this stuff that he'd found out about Charles and Tammy, and it was just like a fire hose of news. And it's like, wait, what? And your name came up because he had found that you were in the family,
right?
And then it just took off. So I'll never forget key moments, even weird stuff. I went through a Wendy's drive-through to get dinner when I was talking with one of the sources. So that's the moment that changed
everything. And what's so crazy is you talk about Rexburg. Obviously, if you haven't been there, you don't understand how tight knit it is.
Right.
When I was there, I'm like, wow, people really know each other. People have grown up here. They know each other's families. They probably went to school together. This is a place that is very quiet, and it doesn't seem like a lot goes on here. And I think that it's so crazy to think, fast forwarding to now, what this has become. And I think back then, for me personally, I don't know what's going on, but I never thought about it until recently when I was thinking about you. Is this has got to be just as crazy to hear all this stuff, right? You're just sitting there one day and all this information comes across, and you're trying to figure this stuff out, and the police are trying to figure it out. And I think what I was thinking about from your perspective is, when you're in this kind of, let's call it the business, right, of reporting, and there's all these different things you have to do. How do you separate talking about this stuff from affecting you in your regular day-to-day? Because some of the stuff that you have to talk about is so heavy and so hard to process. How are you able to process, learn all this information, and then give it out, but also be able to go and live your life outside of that?
Good question. Well, I'll tell you, this story has affected me unlike any other. I mean, the length of it, the emotion with it, the characters, the people. Before I moved to Idaho, I worked in Virginia as the 11 o'clock reporter for the ABC news station, and I covered a lot of crime. But it was a lot of murders, unfortunately, and violent crime. But how that generally worked is, I'd go to work, I'd be assigned a story, I'd go out to the neighborhoods, there'd be breaking news, or we find out about a murder, whatever. I'd go out, I'd go live at 11, and the next day I was on to something else. And you're moving so fast because news is constantly happening. And so I think in a way that maybe prepared me to not take everything so personal, because you'd be a wreck if you did. But coming back to Idaho, you get to know people. You get to know the people that knew Tammy Daybell, and it's a smaller community, as you mentioned, and not a lot happens in Rexburg that is like this. And so at times it's like my brain, when I'm learning all this stuff in the beginning, it's like I can't take anymore. I cannot take it. And you've got the Facebook sleuths, the YouTubers, the people that are true crime fanatics. They send you really good suggestions that they want you to look into, and we're a very small newsroom, and time is limit. We only have limited time, so you want to also help them. And then a lot of the tips aren't really anything. They send you stuff that don't turn out to be anything. And at the beginning days there, Colby, I'll be honest, we had to hire security for our building because we didn't know, people are dying. Before Chad and Lori had been arrested, after I came back from Hawaii, and we were nervous, could I end up dead, or could somebody come here? We don't know who was following them. It was all so raw. So, and I still have young kids, but they were much younger at the time, and my wife's at home, and we're a little what's going on here? So I think to say that it doesn't affect me personally is a lie, because it does. Right. But you just kind of, much like you, kind of learn to cope with it, learn to not let it affect you and be thinking about it all the time, or you'll just be a nervous wreck. But also try, and I try to just have compassion for the people involved. These are real people. You are a real person. It took us 5 years to finally sit down and talk, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine if we had just talked behind the scenes for the next 10 years and you never went on camera, because to me, I'd much rather, respect your wishes and have it out there than try to get the exclusive, or, show up with a microphone and shove it in your face at a visual. And I mean, I did that to your mom, but a little bit. So I don't know if that answers your questions, but
no, it does.
It's taught me a lot. It's taught you a lot about how to cope with these type of things. Hopefully we're never dealing with these type of things again. But you just kind of learn to compartmentalize, I guess, and really focus on, when I'm with my kids, how fortunate and blessed I am to be with them, to have them. JJ is the same age as my daughter, and JJ and Tylee's bodies were found the day after her birthday. And I always remember that we just celebrated her birthday and the horrible discovery. And so, it will always be with me.
Yeah, no, and I understand. And I think I have a lot to ask you just from that too, but I mean, that's kind of the point, is like, the more I dove into this personally, and I really only did this after Chad's trial. I don't know why that's when I was ready. Maybe something just switched to me after the reality of him being finally prosecuted. My mom's prosecuted. It kind of shuts that chapter for my siblings, that I was like, okay, I'm gonna start watching some of the stuff that I missed, because I was not in the loop. I couldn't handle that day-to-day stuff, right? But what was interesting is you've always had such a different perspective. And I think what interests me the most is because you've sat down with so many crucial people who have been a part of this. And that's what's always interesting to me, is they want to open up and talk to you, because I think you're so much more genuine. I'm not trying to say everybody else isn't genuine, but I think that you've built relationships with people. You've been so honoring of Tylee and JJ, you've been so much more respectful, and you're just really out there talking about it. I was telling you that I think that one of the reasons I was so mad at media is because I almost looked at everybody as, you just keep cutting me open. Why do you have to talk about it? And that was an unfair stance for me to take personally, because now I understand where you guys are coming from and where everybody else is coming from. For me personally, I was like, man, all these dudes talk about is my family, and it just sucks and this and that. But I'll be honest with you, when I went back in this last year and I opened myself up to learning information, I was watching you. I mean, you've seen it. I've reacted to everything mostly from what you're reporting on, because I think that I just kind of silently built a trust with you on what you're saying, and talk more about those things that I think about on the channel based off of what you're doing. So I just wanted you to know, like, I see the fact that you are different, but I always wondered how in the world you can talk about all this stuff and have to keep going on. It's hard. And I get that.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm fortunate in the fact that I kind of get to choose what I do every day. So I get to choose to cover it. I would, I've had other offers to go to bigger news companies, and I don't like it. I mean, it's a pressure cooker. I get that they're under the stress of get it exclusive or try to get one-on-one. I understand it. Not that I agree with it, but all of us have a different style, and I don't want to come across as bashing them, but I've seen how sometimes the actions of one person in the media can affect the rest, and also you, of all people, are dealing with the loss of your entire family, and in a brutal way. So I appreciate your words.
Yeah, absolutely. You did this touch on it, and something I was going to ask you. I want to know what it was like to walk up on Chad and Lori in Hawaii and be that person to really ask them those questions. Like, I want to know what that moment was like for you, because you were so bold. You're like really the only one really getting up in the grill. Like, what is happening right now? And I remember watching that and thinking to myself, this guy's on their case, and they need that. They needed somebody to be like, what is going on here? What was that like for you?
Well, it wasn't supposed to happen that day. From everything we had heard, the police were going to go the next morning to their townhouse and serve them the paperwork. If that had happened, we probably would have got a door slam on camera, and I would have been like, we came all the way for that. But Chad and Lori, after they were served those papers by the pool, we've seen the video, they got in a car and they started to work their way toward the airport in Lahui. And so the police, from what I understand, said, we got to speed this up in case they're going to take off. And so we were down by that part of the island when all that was going down. And we just lucked out because we saw the police trying to pull over their SUV. Like, we were right there and we followed them, not knowing it was them. But I remember the first thing I thought when I saw Lori is, wow, she's very petite, very, very thin. And then I saw Chad and thought, whoa, from that picture we saw of him, he's lost weight, he's tan, hair is grown out, he was in shorts. And then I didn't know what they were going to let us do. I didn't know if they were going to arrest them. I didn't know if what was going to play out. And I just remember watching, and they were put into police cars, and then they searched the car and seized the car. And finally, one of the detectives said, all right, well, we're about done here. And I said, so can I go talk to them? He's like, you can do what you want. We're not arresting them, and they won't have a car. So I'm thinking, well, that's great. Maybe they'll sit down and talk to us, which I probably knew wouldn't happen. But what are they going to do? Call a cab, call an Uber? We're at the back of this really big parking lot. That might give me a chance to ask them some questions. And really, I hadn't, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I had planned to say, obviously, where are your kids? And one of the detectives said, I'm really curious that their kids are missing and they're here on the beach. And I thought, yeah, I'll ask that. So I had no idea how it would unfold. All I knew is I had to keep asking questions, hoping they might answer one. And maybe we'll get some news out of it. And the one question she did answer was when I said, people are praying for you. She said, that's great. But then that unfolded in the parking lot. And after they went inside and we finished rolling, the first thing I said to my camera guy, I said, you were recording, right? Because it would have been horrible if they had done it.
None of it's on tape.
On camera.
Horrible.
Right. Yeah.
But I had no clue that it would blow up so big. I had no idea. We went back to the house we were staying, and it had horrible internet. It took us like 3 hours to upload a 3-minute video. It was so bad.
Right.
And we put it out, and then we went to dinner. It was late at this point. But the next morning, my phone was blowing up, as I'm sure you know, with media all over, people all over wanting to talk. And then we're like, well, what do we do today? So we tried to find Chad and Lori again, and we stayed a couple of days. And yeah, so I didn't know. And you know what, Colby, I'm glad I didn't know that it would blow up so big. I'm glad I didn't have more. I would have overanalyzed everything to ask him.
Right.
And then like, maybe I should say that I just kind of jumped in and went. And that's what happened.
So can you tell me what you thought at that point based off of what you knew? Did you have a conclusion that you had already drawn about what's going on here? Or was it just purely like, I'm going to see if they answer any questions? Like, where was your mind at this point with all the information you had? You just went and asked them, they're blowing you off, they're walking away, and you know, you're in Hawaii trying to hunt them down just along with all these other people. Did you have a conclusion of what you thought was going on? I
didn't think the kids were alive.
No.
I was hoping. And then I always think about Elizabeth Smart, who was missing for 9 months and found alive. I just, and it was because of the fact that Tammy had died and that Alex had died. I just didn't, but I was, like I said, I was really hoping that they were alive and that
of course
I'd be wrong. And then other big thought was, I just hope they find them. I don't want to have to do, it's been 1 year since JJ and Tylee were missing and still no remains. It's been 5 years, it's been 10 years. Because this summer I'm covering a little boy who disappeared 10 years ago. No sign of him, no one's charged. So you worry about that, but that was my main thought of, and you know, knowing Lori now, knowing your mom now, seeing how she talks, I think had she sat down with me there on the island, she's charming. I mean, I think she probably could have done an interview and been like, I could have been like, okay, I think they are okay.
Yeah, she's yeah, and I think that's what's interesting too, is like, if they would have given you the time of day, what would that have been like? And would she have been able to kind of convince you? Because she is, that's what messed me up. I did not believe her after the interview that she and I had, but there was a part of me that almost is like, man, like, is that even possible? Like, there's almost something about her that makes you question if it's true, just because she's so cunning in a lot of ways, and she almost speaks with certain convictions. And it just made me wonder for like maybe a couple minutes, like, could that even possibly be true? And I knew no in my heart, but my brain was asking that question. And so it's like this complex of how was she able to do that? Because again, with Keith too, I didn't realize, you know, he said that to you. He's like, well, you know, I almost like enjoyed the conversation. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, from my perspective, but no, I understand what he's saying. I don't want him to feel like I'm judging what he thinks, but I get it. I understand what he's saying. And what's interesting to me too is, so if we fast forward, you have this big gap now between them, and she comes back to Idaho, and she's in court, and we're still waiting. There's no word. And I remember, I think the first footage I ever saw of what was going on was you in the helicopter. And I know it's a tough question to ask you, but also it's something that's been on my mind forever. What was it like for you, having covered the case, and the next thing you know, you get all this confirmation, and you're unraveling this for everybody, including myself? What was it like that day, getting in that helicopter and having that news hit, and knowing that everybody is watching?
That was a day. We got in the helicopter and we flew over the house, and I never imagined that JJ and Tylee would have been found there. Yeah. I did find it interesting that there were cadaver dogs, and that the police were kind of taping off the backyard in grids or certain areas. And I thought, well, maybe they're looking for weapons or something. Never saw human remains. And then, so we flew for about an hour, and then I came back to my office, and then a lady called and said, Chad Daybell was just arrested, and I have it on tape. We're like, what? So she sends us the video, and sure enough, it's a quick drive-by of him getting arrested. It's a video that's been out there. And then someone called and said they just brought in a backhoe to the property.
Oh my gosh.
What? And then I heard from a source that they had found human remains, and I'm like, what? No way. And so we went back up in the air that afternoon, and you could see they had focused the digging on 2 spots. And then that night, they held a news conference saying that the remains of 2 kids had been found. And, you know, to be honest with you, Colby, that day was adrenaline. It was not promising. It's like, go. And I got home that night, couldn't sleep. And it wasn't. A few days later, they helped some community members put together this beautiful vigil with blue and purple balloons and notes. And my daughter asked to go. And I'm like, I don't know. She was, I think, 8 at the time. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to mix work. But I said, okay, you can come. I remember sitting here holding the candle.
Right.
And that night when I went home and I got in the shower is when I like actually cried. It's like when it all hit me about JJ, Tylee, my daughter, you know, it just kind of everything collided. The relief that they've been found, the sadness of the conditions, also the overwhelming feeling that now this is a massive murder case. And also it's COVID. I mean, just the rough year already. So the whole thing just hit me like, and really I like broke down in the shower that night. And then the next day, the autopsy, they confirmed it was JJ and Tylee. So yeah, that was a day, but a good, sad day, just simply because we had the answers and that your siblings weren't buried somewhere in Yellowstone where they would never be found.
Exactly. And I think you brought it up earlier. I've watched videos of cases of people who have never found the person who's missing. Or if they do, it's literally 20 years later, someone finds them in a cave. And again, I can understand for me, it was as heartbreaking and life-changing as that was, it is better to know, because at least you can grieve. But if it's always they're missing, the scenarios that I ran through from when I found out they were missing to when they were found is everything you could imagine. I mean, they married tightly off, and now JJ's her son with them. I mean, literally anything you could think of. You know, they're in a bunker, they're in the middle of wherever, they got sent to another country, they're getting prepared for the end of the world, right? They're doing all these things. And so that's the one thing I can say is at least we knew. And I think that closure was needed. And obviously in the moment, you don't want that to be the case. And it took a long time of getting out of that denial phase. But, you know, I think it's a better thing to know than to not. So I agree with you on that.
Right. I remember, Colby, the first time I actually saw you in person, I was just thinking this, it was the day your mom's here and you had flown to Idaho. And you were walking down the sidewalk in front of the courthouse, and the cameras were hoarded around you.
Right.
What did you think? Sorry, I'm turning the tables. Interview.
No, hey, this is the best thing about the podcast is that we can do whatever. So
Okay,
I'd love to hear any questions you have.
What did you think when you see hundreds of people at the courthouse to see your mom? They lined up to get a number, like starting at 8 a.m. for a 3 o'clock hearing.
Right.
And I mean, do you remember that day? Just how chaotic it was?
I'll never forget that. Yeah, we're in a city I've never been in. I remember flying over the city thinking, man, this is a tiny place. You know, like and I think it was snowing. It wasn't snowing, was it? Maybe that was the first time. Or whatever the case was, whenever we went there. I remember flying in and going, wow, it's tiny, there's nothing out here. And then that was the first time I interviewed with Dateline. So I'm thinking, what is going on here? Because this is just a lot. And I remember walking up the sidewalk, parking my car, walking up the sidewalk on one side to cross right at that light and then turn to the courthouse. So right when I turn, I hear someone say, it's Colby. And I'm like, what? And I just see every single person turn around. And I'm just holding Kelsey's hand, walking, and everyone just comes. And I'm like, what is going on? And you know, they're asking questions, and like, I mean, I would consider myself pretty social. So like, I'm not uncomfortable in a sense of like, I can talk to anybody I meet, but you know, everyone's just got a microphone and a camera and they're talking to you. And you know, in my mind, honestly, like the whole time I'm waiting to see Lori. Like she has no idea I'm there. I haven't talked to her. And so this whole time in my mind, I'm thinking, I need to let her know I'm here, that I'm right here. And I had called when she first got arrested. Within the first couple of weeks, I called that jail trying to get a hold of her, and I couldn't. They wouldn't let me talk to her. So I had to wait. So she didn't know I was there. So I go in the courtroom, and that's where it's a little more settled. I think we actually went in the back, and I saw all these people waiting, you know, everybody that they invited to be a part of that. And I'm like, I haven't seen any of you guys in a long time. So that's emotional and overwhelming. Then we go into the courtroom and we sit down, and she walks in, and everyone is looking at this woman. And I'm going, what planet am I on?
Right.
Like, what is going on? Like, that's my mom. And it just didn't feel real. And I see Chad over there, come sit down, and like all this stuff. And it's like living in a bad dream, bad movie. And as she's walking by, she smiles at Kay and Larry, and she smiles at Brandon at the end. And I went, what in the world was that? Like, that changed my perspective. I was like, that was evil. And that's the first time I saw that.
Yeah.
And then when we left, we walked out one door, and I think someone said, let's just go out the front, because everyone's at that side door. We go out the main door.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. They see us, and I hear, they're going out the door outside. So everyone goes to the stairs. So we open the door, and it is Christmas morning. Like, everybody is just in one spot, and we just get stopped. And I see people on the sidewalk, and they're crying in the back. And I see a mom holding her baby, and she's crying. And all these people with cameras, and you know, Kay and Larry in front of me, they're talking, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, is this real life? Like, what am I supposed to do here? I don't know what is happening. And I remember, I think you asked me a question. I want to say you did. I know you're right next to me on this side, on my right side. I know Justin Lum also asked me a question.
Was there, right?
So I just heard people talking to me. I just heard my name, and mind you, I'm emotional. Like, I'm not prepared to answer questions, but I tried to my best, and I don't remember what I said. But after that, everybody kind of dispersed. I'm leaving. People are patting me on the back, and this one lady's in front of us talking about the whole situation, and she turns around and sees me and just hugs me, and I just, like, I can't put into words like what it's like to be a normal person and then all of a sudden be a part of this thing, but it's also so confusing at the same time. And like, for me personally, I'm like, nothing matters right now more than finding out about Tyler and JJ. Nothing else. Like, you, I don't care about anything else more than this right now, and we'll deal with everything else another time. So
Right.
it was weird.
Yeah.
It was a weird thing, you know. So we fast forward. It's a long time until her trial. What was it like for you coming in, finding out all these things, you know, talking with all these different people, having so much perspective? What was it like when you saw her kind of defense versus Chad's? What was that like for you? Like, what was your thought process to see how they approached both of their own trials and what they said?
Well, it did take a long time to actually go to trial because of COVID and other delays.
Right.
I wish that it would have been interesting to see in Lori's trial if she had allowed her defense attorneys to actually do a defense, to actually put on a solid defense, to do whatever they could.
Right.
Now, I know they consider it a win because they did get death penalty off the table for her. So we didn't see much from her side, but we learned a ton during the trial.
Yeah.
And the big question with her was, is she going to testify? From what I understand, even her attorneys didn't know until that day, that hour, because she was back and forth. And the judge even took a recess, and everybody went back in the courtroom like, is she going to do it? And she said no, which everyone kind of wanted her to. But then she would have opened herself up to prosecution questions.
Right.
So,
Cross-examined, right.
Right. So with Chad, at least you had a bit of a defense. There were some defense witnesses called. John Pryor was far more aggressive, I guess you could say, in questioning the witnesses. It was a death penalty case, so it was, of course, longer and different aspects. And I was surprised how much new stuff we learned in Chad's. I was wondering, is it going to be a duplication of trials? And there was new stuff. And it also surprised me how quick the jury came back with yes on death. So there, excuse me, there was some differences. I'm real curious to see how this is going to go in Arizona with obviously her representing herself, and if she will testify, if she will be her own witness.
Oh yeah, she's going to do it differently. The thing with her now is there's nothing to lose, right? Like she literally can't lose. If she loses the case, it changes nothing. If she wins the case, it changes nothing.
True.
Right. I mean, realistically, it's not like it changes the outcome. I think before she's like, oh, well, we're going to be exonerated and I'm going to break through the jail cell and I'm going to get saved by angels. Like maybe that was still existed, but now that there's a reality, even though she's trying to ignore that reality and she's still saying that things are going to happen the way she believes them. I think she's gonna definitely get up there and speak on our behalf. And when I saw her witness list, I was like, I know exactly what you're doing. And I don't know why I'm not sure what her plan is for you. I was like, really? Yeah. Like you really wanted to get up?
Hey. Oh.
Hey, Greg. Yeah.
What time is it?
It is 1:04 my time.
Yeah. I think we may have to finish this another day because I am tired and I want to take a nap before the kids get out of school.
You are perfectly fine. Yeah, we can call it for today. I'm fine with that. We've been doing this for an hour and a half. Yeah, I need more coffee too. Yeah, that.
So what do you think so far? Like, I love that they were both asking each other questions in this, like.
Me too, because you're getting it from both sides. You're getting it from the son who had no clue this was going to happen.
Right.
And then you're also getting the reporter who was basically, he was the one to break the case.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, it's
by nefarious. It's here. I'm glad to hear that it's open about I'm going to therapy.
Right.
I see a therapist, blah blah blah. Because definitely would need one if I were in his shoes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Did I take your pillow away?
I just feel so bad for him.
I just realized that there is a fur baby that nobody has seen really yet. The one I was just talking to.
Bye, Nefarious. You have a good day.
Bye. There she is.
Yeah, I mean,
Ladybug.
Hi, Ladybug. I agree, Moni.
Her belly's getting bigger. Oh.
And yeah. Exactly, Moni. I mean, I feel for him so much. I have a little sister myself, and anything would happen to her, I feel so. I just.
Yeah.
And if it were my parents, my mom.
Yeah, I can't imagine, and he has come so far, he did not testify in either of these trials, but he did testify in both Lori and Chad's in Idaho. And he kind of talked about that in the interview that Nate did with him on East Idaho News.
Mhm.
He did also testify at Chad's trial, and I don't know. We'll kind of see how it goes as far as watching those trials. Lori's was audio only, so what we'll probably end up doing if we do that is learn about it the same way I learned about it when I first got into Lori. Or oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm so sorry, Moni. But yeah,
But
I understand.
when I first, like, it was like right before Chad's trial, I watched all of the courtroom insiders about Lori's trial because, like, I didn't feel like I'm more of a visual person, which is why it was better that way for me, because, like I said, hers was audio only. So, but anyway, okay,
Yeah, me either, Moni. That's what
yeah,
God.
yeah.
But yeah, well, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Tomorrow around 11:15, I'll be doing a short video live about gangsters with Minnesota ties. And then later tomorrow, we're doing the live with Scarlett about Frederick, right? Edric.
No, tomorrow night is just a recap of the week.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of just a talk shite session.
So there you go. We're gonna be talking
Yeah.
shit. Talking crap.
Yep. It's
TC.
kind of a, go over all the insanity that happened this week between Aiden's hearing and, and the good news
And we
with
should
Kelsey.
have it. Right, and we should have an answer by tomorrow night.
Yes, hopefully. Fingers
So
crossed.
that'll be, let's
Sparkly
answer
Rabbit
some-
just subscribed to my channel.
Hey, hi Sparkly, if you're here. But yeah, okay, yeah. Don't forget, if you're on my channel, one of my butterflies, make sure you go over to Angie, like, sub, and share. If you're on Angie's chat, come on over to my channel, like, sub, and share. We love all of y'all.
Yeah. And
We'll
we will see you in the
see
chat.
later. We'll see you in the chats. Love you guys. Go out always with love and peace in your heart.
Bye.
Lights on me so bright. Grandpa smile in the crowd tonight. 8 little hands clapping along. Joshua's love keeps me strong. From Navy ships to rock and roll. His courage lives in my very own. No limits now, I'm breaking free. This is my song, this is me. Rocking out with my tribe, love like a fire. Wild and alive, adventurous soul, confident stride, joyful heart, no need to hide. Liberated now, the past takes flight. Nostalgic dreams in the spotlight. 8 little stars in my sky. Joshua